Welcome to today's inspiring story on Eden Stories. Our topic is, I called it a misfortune, God called it a blessing. Life doesn't always go the way we expect. Sometimes what looks like a closed door, a painful loss, or a setback is really God preparing us for something greater. Stay with us as we journey through the life of Michael, a man who thought his world had ended, only to discover God was writing a better story. Sometimes what looks like the end is only the beginning. Michael thought his world had ended, but God was writing a better story.
What am I going to do now? Michael. I wish I didn't have to do this, but the company has been struggling. We've had to let several staff go already, and unfortunately, your position is one of the roles being dissolved. It has nothing to do with your character or your work. You've been diligent, faithful, and committed. But the decision is final. I'm truly sorry. Your services are no longer needed. Effective immediately. So, after all these years of loyalty, after all the late nights, the weekends I gave up, this is it? A paper telling me I'm no longer needed? I know it feels cruel, Michael. Believe me, I argued on your behalf. You were one of our best. But sometimes in business, the numbers speak louder than loyalty. If it were in my power, I would have kept you. You don't deserve this, but it's the path the company has taken. Deserve this? Sir, I just renewed my rent. I promised my wife that things would get better this year. I told my children I'd buy their school supplies next month. Now I have to walk home with this letter and explain to them that their father doesn't have a job anymore? Do you know how that feels, Michael? I can't pretend to know your pain completely. But I do understand how devastating this is. Life sometimes throws storms at us we never asked for. But I believe you'll rise above this. You're hardworking, you're responsible, and doors will open for you again. Please don't lose hope. Hope. That's easy to say when you still have your chair, your salary, and your security. For me, this isn't just a letter. It's the roof over my family, it's food on the table, it's dignity. And right now, all of it feels like it's slipping through my fingers. Thank you for being honest. I'll find my way somehow. Sarah. There's no easy way to say this. I lost my job today. The company said they're downsizing, and just like that, I was handed this letter. I walked out of that office feeling like the ground beneath me had disappeared. Everything I worked for, gone in a single afternoon.
Michael, I know your heart is breaking right now. And I won't pretend this isn't painful, because it is. But listen to me, this may feel like misfortune. Yet God is still in control. He hasn't abandoned you, and He hasn't abandoned us. A letter can't erase your worth, and it can't erase God's plan for your life.
But Sarah, how do I explain this to the children? How do I pay rent? I promised you a better year. I told you things would improve, that I'd finally make progress. And now, I feel like I've failed you. Like I've failed as a husband, and as a father.
Michael, don't ever call yourself a failure. Losing a job is not the same as losing who you are. You are still the man I married, the man who prays with me, who loves his family, who works hard, who refuses to give up even when life gets hard. This situation doesn't define you. God does. And I believe, with all my heart, that He is preparing something greater for us. Sometimes what looks like an end is only the doorway to a new beginning.
You make it sound so simple. But when I look at this letter, I only see closed doors. I only see shame. How do I tell my friends? How do I face the neighbors when they ask how work is going? I can already hear the whispers. Michael lost his job. It hurts, Sarah. It cuts deep.
Let them whisper if they want to. Our story is not written by people, it's written by God. And God has never failed us. Remember the times we didn't know how we'd survive, yet provision came in ways we couldn't explain? The same God who carried us then will carry us now. You may see a closed door, Michael, but I see the hand of God redirecting us towards something greater. This is not the end, it's the middle of a testimony we haven't seen the end of yet.
Do you really believe that? Do you believe God is working in this, even though it feels like everything is falling apart?
Yes. I believe it with everything inside me. And until you can believe it for yourself, I'll keep believing for both of us. We will not sink, Michael. God is with us in this storm, and storms don't last forever. Our faith will carry us through. Michael exhales deeply, resting his head against Sarah's hand. She holds him, whispering softly as the camera pans upward to the ceiling light, symbolizing hope.
Well, well, well. Look who we have here. The great Michael. The one who was always talking about hard work, faith, and God's blessings. I heard the news already. Your company let you go, isn't that right? Tell me, Michael. Where is your God now? Maybe all those prayers and church visits don't work after all. Maybe it was just luck keeping you afloat, and now your luck has run out. John. I won't lie to you. Yes, I lost my job. And yes, it hurts deeply. But don't mistake my present situation as proof that God has failed me. God hasn't failed me. I may not understand why this happened, and I may not see the full picture yet, but I believe He is still in control. My faith is not built on whether life is smooth, it's built on who God is. And He doesn't change, even when circumstances do. Still in control? Michael, open your eyes. You worked all those years, gave your best, and in one day you're nothing but a man carrying a letter of rejection. You talk about God like He owes you something, but look at you, you're no different from the rest of us. All your church going, your prayers, your fasting. And this is where it got you? Jobless, confused, embarrassed. Don't you think it's time you stop deceiving yourself? John, you can mock me all you want. I can't stop you. But let me tell you this, faith is not proven when everything is working. Faith is proven when the ground shakes beneath your feet and you still choose to stand. I may not have answers right now, but I know God's promises are true. He has never abandoned His children, and He won't start with me. This letter may look like the end of my story, but I know it is only a chapter. The author hasn't finished writing yet, always talking like a preacher. But let's be honest, Michael, what will your faith feed you tonight? What rent will your faith pay? Faith doesn't put food on the table. You'll see soon enough. Reality doesn't care about your religion. You're right, John. Faith won't cook dinner. Faith won't pay rent directly. But faith will keep me standing when life tries to break me. Faith will remind me that provision doesn't come from a paycheck alone. It comes from God, who owns everything. You see failure, but I see a test. And one day, when God turns this around, you'll remember this conversation. You'll see that I wasn't holding on to empty words, I was holding on to a living God. Lord. Why me? Why now? I served you faithfully. I worked hard. I gave my best to my family, to my work, to your house. I trusted you with everything, and now here I am, on my knees, with nothing but shame and questions. Lord, I don't understand. Why this pain? Why this embarrassment? Why this storm, when I've tried to walk upright before you? Father, I thought I was doing the right things. I prayed. I gave. I tried to live with integrity. And yet, this letter tells me I've failed. I feel like I've failed my wife, my children, myself, and even you. Lord, am I still your son? Did I do something wrong? Did I miss a sign? Please talk to me. Because right now, silence feels like abandonment, and I don't know how much longer I can carry this. God. People are mocking me already. They say my prayers are useless, that my faith is wasted. Lord, you know I've always stood boldly to say you are faithful, but how can I defend that now? How do I lift my head when I feel like everything has been stripped away? Please. Don't let me drown in this pain. Don't let this shame be the end of my story. I don't understand, Lord. But I still trust you. Even in my tears, I choose to believe that you see me. I choose to believe you are still God. Hold me, Father. Strengthen me. Because right now, I am too weak to stand on my own.
Michael. I see your pain, and it breaks my heart. But listen to me, my love. Remember Joseph in the scriptures. His brothers betrayed him, sold him into slavery, and in the eyes of men it looked like the worst misfortune. But what they called misfortune, God called preparation. Every step of his suffering was shaping him for the palace. If Joseph had not been rejected, he would never have been promoted. If he had not been in the prison, he would not have been positioned to interpret Pharaoh's dream. What people saw as his downfall was God's setup for greatness.
But Sarah, Joseph's story ended well. Mine feels like it's ending before it even begins. How can you compare my pain to his? I don't see any palace waiting for me. All I see is failure. All I see is shame.
Michael, that's exactly what Joseph must have felt too, when he was thrown into that pit, when he was falsely accused in Potiphar's house, when he was locked up in a cold prison cell. Do you think he saw a palace then? No. All he saw was darkness. But God saw the bigger picture. And that same God who lifted Joseph is still God today. He hasn't changed. He hasn't lost his power. And he hasn't abandoned you.
But the weight is heavy, Sarah. The rejection cuts deep. People are already mocking me. And I don't know how long I can endure this valley.
Michael, let them mock. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. They laughed at Noah until the rain started falling. They doubted David until Goliath fell. They scorned Jesus until he rose from the grave. People may see only the surface, but God sees the end from the beginning. And I believe with all my heart that what we call misfortune today will be the very testimony that lifts our heads tomorrow. This valley will not destroy you, it will reveal God's strength in you.
So, you really believe that God is still writing something better for me? That this pain is not the final chapter?
Yes, Michael. I believe it. With every fiber of my being, I believe it. And until you can see it, I will keep reminding you. This letter may have closed one door, but I'm certain God is preparing another door, bigger, brighter, and better. Our story is not over. In fact, it's only beginning.
Michael, I've been praying for you since I heard the news. I know this is heavy, and I know your heart feels crushed. But let me remind you of something. You see a closed door, but maybe God is opening another one. Sometimes we mourn so much over what has closed that we can't see the new beginning God is preparing. Pastor, I don't know if I can believe that right now. All I see is rejection. After years of working, after giving everything I had, I walked out with nothing but this letter. I feel useless. I feel like my prayers have bounced back unanswered. Pastor, I've trusted God. But now, it feels like He's silent. Michael, silence is not absence. Sometimes God is quiet because He's working behind the scenes in ways we cannot yet see. Think of Elijah. He looked for God in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire. But God came in a gentle whisper. Do not mistake God's silence for his abandonment. He is closer to the brokenhearted than you realize. But how do I tell my wife and children that God is still working, when all I have to show them is an empty job and unpaid bills? How do I stand before people who mock me, who say my faith has failed me? Pastor, it hurts to keep believing when everything around me says otherwise. Michael, faith was never about what people say. It was never about circumstances lining up the way we want. Faith is believing even when the storm rages, even when the fire burns, even when the valley is dark. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they said, "Our God is able to deliver us." But even if he does not, we will not bow. That is faith. Standing firm, even when you don't have the answers. That is what pleases God. So you're saying, even in this valley, I should keep trusting? Even when I don't see the end yet? Yes, Michael. Don't stop trusting. Don't let this letter define you. A job is not your source, God is. He can open a door no man can shut. He can use this very situation, this very pain, to lead you into something greater. Sometimes God allows one chapter to close so that the next chapter, the one he truly wrote, can begin. You are not forgotten, and you are not finished. Hold on to his promises. Pastor, your words remind me that maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end. Maybe God is still writing something I can't see yet. I want to believe again, even through the tears. That's the first step, son, choosing to believe again. You don't need to see the whole road, just take the next step in faith. And remember, the God who fed Israel in the wilderness, the God who opened the Red Sea, the God who raised Jesus from the grave, he is your God too. Trust him, and you will see his hand.
Michael, how did it go today?
Sarah. The same story again. They said, "Thank you for coming, but we've decided to go with someone else." I've heard those words so many times I can repeat them in my sleep. I don't know what else to do. I've rewritten my CV, I've answered every question the best way I know how, I've knocked on every door I can find. But it's like every door closes in my face. It's like rejection has become my shadow.
I know it hurts, Michael. I see the weight on you every day. But please, don't give up. Every rejection is not a verdict, it's just a redirection. God still has the final word.
Sarah, you make it sound easy. But I've walked into offices where I could almost taste the hope of being accepted, only to walk out crushed. I've smiled at people who didn't even look me in the eye. Do you know what it feels like to sit in front of strangers, pour out your qualifications, your experience, your heart, and still hear, "We're sorry, you're not what we're looking for"? After a while, you start to wonder if maybe you're truly not good enough. And that thought eats at me every night.
Michael, don't let those voices define you. You are more than a rejection letter. You are more than an interview gone wrong. Remember, God has a way of shutting doors no man can open, but also opening doors no man can shut. These rejections are not the end, they are part of the journey. And one day, you'll look back and see that even the no's were guiding you to the right yes.
I want to believe that. I truly do. But with every closed door, it gets harder. Every time I walk out of an interview empty-handed, I feel a piece of me breaking. Sometimes I wonder if God is even listening. Because if he is, why does it feel like he's allowing one disappointment after another?
He is listening, Michael. Just because the answer isn't immediate doesn't mean he is silent. Think of Abraham, he waited years for the promise. Think of Hannah, she wept bitterly before she held Samuel in her arms. Waiting does not mean God has forgotten. It means He is preparing. And I believe, with all my heart, that He is preparing you right now, even through these tears and disappointments.
Well, if it isn't Michael, the man of endless faith. Tell me, how many doors have slammed in your face this week? 10? 15? You've been carrying that folder around town like it's a treasure chest, but what has it given you? Nothing! You pray, you fast, you talk about trusting God, but look at you, still jobless, still wandering. Don't you think it's time to wake up and face reality? Maybe all that faith talk was just empty words. Maybe God doesn't care as much as you thought. John, I won't lie to you, this has been one of the hardest seasons of my life. Every rejection feels like a wound, and every closed door feels like another heavy stone added to my shoulders. But let me tell you the reality I believe in. My provider is not this city, nor these companies, nor even the men who sit behind their desks. My provider is God, and He has never failed. Yes, I don't understand His timing. Yes, I can't see the way forward right now. But reality is this: God is still on His throne, and He is still my provider. Michael, you sound so naive. How long are you going to keep hiding behind those religious words? The world is tough. People survive by strategy, by connections, by playing the system, not by prayers. Look at me, I've never fasted a single day. I don't spend nights crying to heaven, yet I eat well, I dress well, and I don't beg anyone for help. You're crumbling, and still you cling to a God who seems silent. John, you may laugh at me now, and I won't deny that my present looks small in your eyes. But I know the God I serve. I have read the stories of men who were mocked before their breakthrough: Joseph in the prison, Daniel in the lion's den, Job on the ash heap. Their situations looked like defeat, but God turned their stories into testimonies. My reality is not defined by today's rejection, but by tomorrow's promise. And one day, you will see that I was not wasting my faith. I was standing on a foundation that cannot be shaken.
Heavenly Father, I come to you tonight with a burdened heart. You see my husband, Michael. You see the weight he carries on his shoulders. Lord, every day he leaves this house with hope, and every day he returns with rejection. His smile grows weaker, his eyes heavier, and yet he still whispers, God is faithful. Lord, you know I love him, and it breaks my heart to see him like this. Father, Michael has served you faithfully. He has lifted his hands in worship, he has given when he barely had enough for himself, and he has spoken your name boldly even when mocked. Lord, now it feels as though the heavens are silent. But I know you are not deaf, I know you are not blind, and I know you are not unjust. Your word says you will not forget the labor of love we show in your name. Lord, I cannot carry his pain, but I bring it to you. Lift my husband, O God. Strengthen his spirit. Remind him that this valley is not his destination but only a passage. Father, turn this misfortune into a testimony that will shake even those who mock him. Let those who laugh today see your glory tomorrow. Use this rejection to redirect him to something greater. Open the door that no man can shut, and let his story be proof that you never abandon your own. Lord, help me also as his wife. Give me the patience to encourage him when I feel weak, the wisdom to speak life when he feels defeated, and the faith to believe even when it looks impossible. I refuse to call this the end. I refuse to call this shame. I choose to call this a season of preparation, a womb for a greater birth. Lord, do it, and let all the glory return to you. Thank you, Lord. I know you will not fail us.
Beloved, hear me this morning. Life does not always move in a straight line. There are seasons when we expect the sun, but instead, clouds gather. There are times when doors we thought would open slam shut. And in those moments, it is easy to cry out, "Lord, why me?" It is easy to think that God has forgotten us. But I came to remind you today, sometimes, setbacks are divine setups. Think of Joseph. His brothers called it misfortune when they sold him into slavery. Potiphar's wife called it misfortune when she lied against him and he was thrown into prison. But heaven called it preparation. The pit was not his end, the prison was not his grave, each step was a setup for the palace. Children of God, never interpret a single chapter as the whole book. God may allow rejection, but not for your destruction, it is for your redirection. The word says in Romans 8 verse 28, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." It does not say some things, it says all things. Even the tears, even the sleepless nights, even the job loss, even the closed doors, God weaves them into a greater plan. What men call misfortune, God calls preparation. What men call the end, God calls the beginning. What men call shame, God calls a testimony in the making. Lord, help me trust your process. Do not despise the season you are in. The pain you feel today may be the platform God is using for your tomorrow. Hold on, keep believing, keep trusting, because your story is not over until God says it is over. And when He is done, even your enemies will confess that the hand of the Lord has been upon you.
Michael, after being in thoughts for a while, finally spoke up.
Sarah. Today as I was walking home, I saw a group of young boys sitting by the roadside with their school books. They were struggling to read the simplest words, and I could see the frustration in their little eyes. They don't have anyone to guide them, no one to sit with them patiently. And as I watched them, something stirred in me. For the first time in weeks, I felt useful again. Sarah, what if I start teaching kids after school? Not for money, not for recognition, just to help, at least until something else comes along.
Michael, do you hear yourself? You've been walking with your head down for so long, weighed by rejection. But this sounds like a seed of purpose. You've always had a gift with children, and patience to teach. Don't dismiss this as a small thing. Sometimes the little ideas we see as temporary are the very tools God uses to build something greater.
But Sarah, I studied, I trained, I dreamed of big positions in offices and companies. To sit with little children on a wooden bench and teach them X. It feels so small, so insignificant. What will people say? John already mocks me for my faith. What if he hears I've resorted to teaching kids on the roadside? Won't it sound like I've truly failed?
Michael, don't measure significance by people's opinions. Joseph ruled Egypt because he first interpreted a dream in prison. David became king because he first tended sheep faithfully. Our Savior himself washed the feet of his disciples. Do not despise small beginnings. If God is birthing an idea in you, even if it looks small, it carries greatness inside. Who knows? Those little boys may grow to become leaders, doctors, or preachers because you, took time to invest in them.
You really believe this could be from God?
I don't just believe it, Michael. I know it. Because the enemy never inspires us to do good. Only God plants compassion in our hearts. If this idea brings light to children, if it gives you joy again, and if it restores dignity to your soul, then surely it is God whispering to you. Don't wait for the big opportunity, be faithful in this one. And watch how God will multiply it.
Maybe this misfortune really is a setup. Maybe this is God's way of leading me into something new.
Michael makes his first attempt.
All right, children. Thank you for coming today. I know school can be difficult sometimes, and the words in these books may look like giants. But I want you to know that learning is not about fear, it's about discovery. Every word you read, every number you understand, it opens a new door for your future. So today, we begin a journey together. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because mistakes are just stepping stones to learning. Let's start with this word, CRT. Who would like to try reading it for me?
C. T. Cat.
Yes, Peter. That's correct, cat. You see? You didn't have to be afraid. You tried, and you got it right. That's how learning works. Every word you conquer is a small victory. And soon, you will read whole sentences.
Can I try the next one, sir?
Of course, Ruth. Go ahead. This one says DOG.
D. O. G. Dog.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
You see, you are both already reading. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you cannot. God has given each of you a mind capable of great things, and all we need to do is water it, like watering a seed, and it will grow into a strong tree.
Sir, I always fail in school. The teacher says I'm too slow. What if I can't learn like the others?
Peter, listen to me. You are not slow, you are special. Everyone learns at a different pace, and that does not make you less intelligent. In fact, sometimes the ones who take longer to learn understand more deeply in the end. What matters is not speed, but persistence. And they will walk with you step by step until you see how brilliant you truly are. Don't ever believe you are a failure, because God did not create failures. He created treasures. Children, remember this, education is not just about passing exams. It is about preparing you to fulfill your purpose. Who knows? One of you may become a doctor who saves lives, another may become a teacher who inspires others, and another may become a leader who changes a nation. But it starts here, with these small steps, under this tree. And I am honored to walk this journey with you. Well, look at this. So this is what you've become now, Michael? A street teacher under a mango tree? After all those years in the university, after all the fine suits you used to wear to the office, now reduced to chalk and children's rhymes? Ha! I told you your prayers wouldn't take you anywhere. Look at me. I walk past this street in my nice clothes. People respect me. They envy me. And you, Michael? You sit here with 3 children, wasting your time. Honestly, this is shameful. If this is what faith brings a man to, then I'd rather remain without it. John, you see shame, but I see purpose. You see disgrace, but I see a seed. You laugh because all you can measure are outward things, suits, titles, and applause. But life is more than what men applaud. Better small beginnings with God than empty pride without Him. These children sitting here are not a waste of my time, they are the future, and God has trusted me to plant something in them. What you call low, heaven may be calling holy. Purpose? Please, don't deceive yourself. You've fallen from grace, and you're trying to make excuses for failure. Do you really think teaching a handful of children will pay your bills? Will it restore your dignity? Or are you just pretending so you don't feel the sting of rejection? John, my dignity does not come from a paycheck, it comes from knowing I am walking in the will of God. If this is where He wants me now, then I will embrace it with joy. Did you not hear the scripture that says, "Do not despise the day of small beginnings"? Joseph started in a pit before he reached the palace. David tended sheep before he sat on the throne. If they despised their beginnings, they would have missed their destinies. I will not despise mine. Keep deceiving yourself. I'll check back in a year and see if anything good comes out of this. For now, I'll enjoy my life, while you sit in the dust. You may mock me today, John, but when God finishes what He has started, even you will testify that it was His hand. I would rather be small with God now and grow with His blessing than be big without Him and end in emptiness. I'll never let anyone's laughter kill your dreams. Great things often start small, but with God, they never stay small. Alright children, let's read this sentence together. God made the sun. Take your time, don't rush. Learning is not about speed, it's about understanding.
God made the sun.
Excellent. Wonderful! Look at you all, you are reading whole sentences now. Just a few weeks ago, some of you struggled with simple words. But now, you are growing, step by step. This is proof that no one is too weak to learn and no beginning is too small to matter.
Can you believe it? My son could barely read his homework last month. Now he reads aloud at home with confidence. This man is doing what the school could not. Yes, and he doesn't even charge us. He sits here day after day with these children, patiently guiding them. Truly, God has sent him to this community. Michael, look at what God is doing through you. Do you remember the night you cried out, asking why this misfortune came upon you? You thought it was shame, you thought it was the end. But now see, this tree has become a classroom, your voice has become hope, and these children have become your testimony. Michael, I am so proud of you. You didn't give up. You chose to believe, even when mocked. And now the fruit is beginning to show.
Sarah, I almost gave in to despair. There were days I thought I was useless, days I thought I had nothing left to offer. But God knew better. He shut one door, not to destroy me, but to push me into another. And now, as I watch these little ones grow, I realize, this is bigger than a job. This is ministry. This is destiny. I may not stand in an office tower, but I stand in a place where lives are being shaped. And somehow, I feel richer here than I ever did behind a desk.
Yes, Michael. Because you are walking in purpose. What the world calls small, heaven calls great. And this is only the beginning.
See what I told you? You are champions. Never believe you cannot do it. With effort, with faith, and with God's help, there is nothing you cannot achieve. And I promise you this, I will stand with you until you believe in yourselves as much as I believe in you. Pastor David. What a blessing to see you here. Please, come and sit with us. My son, I could not resist coming to witness what I've been hearing. Michael, when you came to me weeks ago, your heart was heavy, your spirit crushed. You saw only closed doors and unanswered questions. But look around you now. Children who were once struggling are eager to learn. Parents who felt helpless now have hope. Do you see what God has done? What you thought was misfortune, He is using to bless many. Pastor, when I first sat here with just 3 children, I thought it was nothing. I told myself it was only a temporary distraction while I waited for another job. But every day, more children came. Their parents started thanking me, and I realized this wasn't just a pastime, it was something God had planted. Still, part of me wondered, can this really be God's plan, or am I just trying to fill my emptiness? Michael, you must learn to see with the eyes of faith. God's plans often begin in small and unexpected ways. Joseph began in a pit, David in the fields, and our Lord in a manger. Do not despise small beginnings, for the Lord delights in them. You called it misfortune, but heaven called it preparation. You thought you lost a job, but God gave you a ministry.
Pastor, I remember how Michael wept in this same compound, asking God why. But today, I see a different man. His eyes shine when he teaches, his heart is lighter, and these children adore him. I realize now that God was redirecting us, even when we didn't understand.
Pastor, all my life I prayed to be useful in God's hands, but I never imagined this would be the way. I thought success meant climbing ladders, sitting in offices, and earning recognition. But here, under this tree, I feel more fulfilled than I ever did behind a desk. Perhaps losing my job was the only way God could push me into His purpose. My son, you have spoken truth. Sometimes God must take away what we cling to, so our hands are free to hold what He is truly giving. You are no longer just working for a company, you are shaping lives, molding futures, and planting seeds of hope. This is greater than any salary. This is eternal work. Then I will stop calling it misfortune. I will call it what God calls it, a blessing. Good morning, sir. This is an unexpected honor. Please, you are welcome. Forgive us, we have no formal setting, just this tree and eager hearts. Michael, what you have started here has not gone unnoticed. At first, people whispered, what can a man with no job do with children under a tree? But now, weeks have passed, and the whispers have turned into testimonies. Parents tell me their children can now read where they once struggled. Mothers tell me they no longer fear their children will waste away in idleness. Fathers are proud to see discipline and knowledge growing in their homes. Michael, your teaching is changing lives. And as a community, we cannot sit back and watch this alone. We want to support you, sir. Do not even know what to say. When I began, I did not see it as anything significant. I only thought I was passing time while waiting for God to open another door. I thought I was patching the pieces of my broken life. But now, hearing your words, seeing these children grow, I realize this is bigger than me. This is God's doing. Yes, my son. It is indeed God's doing, but you have been faithful to stand in the gap. Do you know how many young men sit idle when life throws them down? Many turn to anger, some to destruction, others to hopelessness. But you turned to service. You chose to give when you had every reason to withdraw. That is why we have come, to tell you that you are not alone. From today, this community will rally behind you. We will provide benches, books, even a small shelter, so these children can learn with dignity. Sir, I cannot hold back my tears. I called my situation a misfortune. I thought losing my job was the end of my dignity. I cried before God, asking why He had abandoned me. But today, standing here, hearing your words, I see clearly, it was never abandonment. It was redirection. God turned my shame into a platform. What I thought was a curse has become a blessing. I am overwhelmed.
Sir, you may not know the depths of the nights we cried. Michael thought he was finished. But today, as his wife, I can boldly say that God has indeed lifted us in a way we never imagined. Thank you for recognizing Him. Thank you for honoring what God is doing.
You both are an example of faith and resilience. The Bible says, let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Michael, your light has shone, not by wealth or position, but by service and humility. Never despise what God is doing through you. This is only the beginning. Mark my words, generations will rise and call you blessed. Then I accept this honor not for myself, but for God who took my misfortune and called it a blessing. I will serve faithfully, as long as He gives me strength. John, you're here. It's unusual to see you at this hour. Michael, I've been thinking. For weeks, I've watched you. I remember how I mocked you, how I laughed when you lost your job, how I sneered when I saw you teaching under this tree. I thought you had fallen. I thought your prayers were useless, your faith misplaced. But now I see with my own eyes that I was blind. Michael, I mocked you, but I see now, God truly turned your setback into a blessing. John, your words cut deeply back then, I won't deny it. When you laughed, I already carried shame in my heart, and your words made the burden heavier. But I knew within me that my story was not finished. I could not explain it, but I trusted that God had not abandoned me. And now, what seemed like loss has indeed become a blessing, not just for me, but for many children and families. Michael, I must confess. I mocked you because I was jealous. When you had your job, I envied your stability. When you lost it, I felt almost glad, because in some twisted way, it made me feel higher than you. But the truth is, your fall revealed my own emptiness. I saw you rise again, not through money or position, but through service and faith. And now, everyone honors you, while I stand here realizing how small I've been. Forgive me, my friend. I was wrong. John, listen to me. Life has a way of testing us in unexpected ways. I called my loss a misfortune, but God called it preparation. You mocked me in my weakness, but see how God has used even it to humble us both. I forgive you, not because I am perfect, but because God has forgiven me much more than you could ever owe me. Let us not live in bitterness anymore. Instead, let us both walk in the light of what God is doing. Michael, I don't deserve your kindness, but your words pierce me deeper than any sermon I've heard. If God could take your shame and turn it into glory, then maybe He can take my pride and turn it into humility. Pray for me, my friend. I don't want to be a mocker anymore. I want to change. I want to know this God the way you know Him. John, it is never too late. The same God who lifted me will lift you if you surrender to Him. He does not despise a broken heart. Yes, I will pray for you. And beyond prayer, I want you to walk with me in this work. These children need more hands. If you are willing, your strength can now be used to build, not to tear down. You would still allow me to walk with you? After all the poison I poured into your wounds? Michael, you are more than a friend, you are a brother. Yes. Yes, I will walk with you. From today, I want to be part of what God is doing here. Brothers and sisters, I stand before you today not as a man who has it all together, but as one who has seen the hand of God in my weakness. Some months ago, I walked into my office and was handed a letter that shook me to my core. A letter that read, "Your services are no longer needed." In that moment, I thought my life was over. I thought my years of labor had been wasted. I felt shame, I felt broken, and I even asked God, why me? But God, in His mercy, showed me that what I called a misfortune, He had already written into His plan as a blessing. I never imagined that losing a job would push me into finding my true assignment. I began with just 3 children under a mango tree, thinking it was nothing. But today, I see dozens of children eager to learn, parents giving thanks, and even the community rising to support this little beginning. Who could have done this but God?
When my husband came home with that letter, my heart sank. I saw the pain in his eyes, and I too cried in secret. But I remembered Joseph, what his brothers meant for evil, God turned for good. I held on to faith, even when everything seemed hopeless. Today, I stand here to say, indeed, our God never fails. He turned our tears into joy and our shame into testimony.
I called it a misfortune, but God called it a blessing. To anyone here who is going through pain, through loss, or through shame, I tell you, don't give up. Don't lose hope. The same God who lifted me will lift you. He is too faithful to abandon His children. Trust Him, even when you don't understand, and one day, you too will stand where I stand and declare His goodness. Church, let us thank God for this testimony. This is proof that our God still turns mourning into dancing and misfortune into blessing. As they have testified, so shall you also testify in Jesus' name.
When life closes a door, trust the hands that hold your destiny. What looks like an end may only be the beginning. Michael called it misfortune, but God called it preparation. He thought he had lost everything, yet he found his true purpose. Remember this, your setback may just be God's setup for your destiny. Romans 8 verse 28 All things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Thank you for watching Hidden Stories. Today we learned that what we call misfortune, God may call preparation, training, or blessing in disguise. Never give up when life shifts unexpectedly, because Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. If this story blessed you, please like, share, and subscribe, so more people can be encouraged by these life-changing stories. Until next time, keep trusting God's plan for your life.